Inspirational Creatives, episode 278. Welcome to Inspirational Creatives. I'm your host, Rob Lawrence. Join me every Friday as I chat with successful artists, producers, and creative entrepreneurs who share powerful stories and strategies. They can help you to create the life that you want. Listen each week as these inspirational creatives show you how to take your creativity to the next level. You'll learn how to create a sustainable business that inspires others and gives you the financial freedom and lifestyle that you want. Thanks for listening. Make sure you sign up at inspirationalcreatives.com to get free exclusive bonus material. And now, on with the show. Rob here, and welcome to this short action episode on Inspirational Creatives. In the next few minutes, I'm going to help you to get unstuck with your creative work by sharing with you the wisdom of painter and theatre director John Link, who kindly offered us in episode 277 some deep insights as to how to create and fill a space with ideas and inspiration. It's this process, this creative process, our own creative process, that can teach us something we didn't already know about human nature, as shortly will be revealed. Often when we're stuck, looking for either new ideas or a new way forward with a project, particularly one we're grappling with, we can assist ourselves by adopting a new perspective that can help us to see and relate with our own creativity in a new way. In episode 277, when I asked John about the similarities and differences in his own creative process, when we were reflecting on both his painting and his theatre work combined, I was hoping that I could get some kind of insight as to what sits at the very bottom of what it is we're all trying to achieve through our own creative pursuits, and I summarise those findings with you here today. So in episode 277, I asked John about what he believes are some of the similarities and differences in his creative process when reflecting on both his theatre and his painting work. Here's John talking about his creative process.
The creative process kind of remains the same. I'm confronted with a canvas. As a director, you're confronted with a space. The canvas needs peopling in some way or form, whether it's a tree or whether it's a person, doesn't matter, or a motor car, or a seagull. The space needs to be peopled by actors. So that's a kind of sense in which those two elements are very similar.
From John's point of view, whether he's painting or directing, the approach for him is the same. You are essentially confronted with a space which invites filling.
And the process, for me, is to do with asking questions, really, and attempting to answer questions. And those questions are to do with, when you're working with an actor, are to do with, where do we go with this? What is the story? What is the background? What is the life behind this play? And what are the characters' lives are about?
The process for John is about asking questions and attempting to have those questions answered.
So it's asking questions and attempting to answer those questions, and therefore filling that particular space with the story.
Not only do you begin to ask more questions, you begin to create a story. John explains.
Which has other elements as well as the human elements. It has colour, it has light, it has sound, usually, some shape or form. Now, in a sense, although it's more of a singular process in that when I'm looking at a canvas, I'm not interacting with a group of actors, I am coming from the same sort of story element. What story is behind this, What's coming out of this moment when I make a mark on the canvas? What is that mark about? Where's it come from? Where's it going to? Where's it leading me? And so on. And then out of that, you start answering questions. Well, I think it's going to be this or that. And so you think, well, that's interesting. I'll pursue that. Mm. And that's the same as one's interaction with actors. You're asking, as a director, you're asking questions of the actor. Why are you doing that? Where are you coming from there? And the actor replies, and you say, well, okay, but what about this or what about that? And where do we go? And so it's the same sort of thing, really, except I'm talking to myself when I'm painting. And it is about those same questions. And then out of that comes, hopefully, something that says something about, sounds a bit coy, really, but it says something about human nature.
When we begin to fill a space with our creative output, we invite more questions. These questions invoke our curiosity, lead us down a path which begins to tell a story. John reminds us that such pursuits teach us something that we didn't already know about human nature.
Who am I? What am I? Why am I? Which is what plays are about. And it's, in a sense, what the process of painting is about.
I'd like to wrap up this episode with this last short clip from my chat with John, which I felt was a really honest and insightful remark about what choices we have and where we can take our creativity next.
The characters I paint, when they are characters, are always at a moment where they're asking that very question of themselves. What am I doing here? Why am I here? What's happened to me? Where do I go next? What choices do I have? And so on. And those questions and answers surround what I do with painting. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it is, for me, actually a very similar process.
Reflecting on my chat with John, which by the way is the first part of a two-part conversation, he's reminded me most that our creative work is a lot about following our curiosity. So I'd like to summarise today by asking you, where is your curiosity leading you today? What space in front of you would you like to fill? And how are you going to fill it? What's the first thing that comes to mind that you'd like to try? And remember, through what John's taught us, by taking action, you will end up asking more questions. You will be led down a path that will tell a story. Thanks for joining me today. Let me know what resonated with you in this episode by dropping me an email at rob@inspirationalcreatives.com. If you'd like to hear more of what John had to say, head on over to inspirationalcreatives.com. Click on the episodes button and search for episode 277, which is where you'll find part 1 of my chat with John Link, part 2 out soon. Good luck taking action today. Thanks again for listening, and I'll chat to you soon. Thanks for listening. Nothing beats the stories and advice of an expert to help you raise your creative game. I would love to know what you thought about today's episode, so don't forget to subscribe in iTunes, where you can rate and review the show. If you like this episode, I invite you to share it on Facebook or Twitter with the one person you know who will benefit from the wisdom shared here today. You can find the show notes on inspirationalcreatives.com/podcast. If you have a burning question or a great idea for a guest, head on over to inspirationalcreatives.com/contact, where you can connect with me there.